Hi, it's Kip in Bates here, and today I thought I would talk a bit about vanity addresses in blockchain. Now, whenever you create a private key for your account on a blockchain, the private key is used to derive a public key, and that public key is then compressed and munged about a bit using a hash function. And that means you end up with, for example on Bitcoin, a standard looking Bitcoin address. And similarly in Ethereum, you create a private key, you derive a public key from it, and then you hash it and you take a subsection of the hash, and that becomes your public address. And what a vanity address is when you generate thousands upon thousands of private keys randomly, and you generate the public address from that private key, and you look for, say, the first bunch of characters having a certain arrangement of numbers and letters that you like. For example, you might want your key to start with coffee, C0FFEE. So you just keep trying and trying and trying and churning away. It's a kind of proof of work in a way, I suppose. And then eventually, after a long time, because coffee's quite a long string, you'll find an address that starts with that. And it turns out in Ethereum, the manner in which contract addresses are derived when you deploy a contract is also deterministic, so you can actually apply the same principle there. If you're going to deploy a contract and you want it to be a vanity contract address, you generate a random private key, you generate the public key, and then you can compute what the first contract address would be for that address. And if it doesn't start with your vanity prefix, you throw it away, and you just churn through that again and again and again, and eventually, if you haven't picked a prefix that's too long, you'll find a private key for which, when you deploy a contract from it, that contract has this vanity prefix. So it's kind of a fun but somewhat silly thing to do. However, when I thought about it, there is actually something significant to it. Namely, if you're a company and you're deploying a smart contract, having a smart contract address that has a given prefix that is relevant to your company's name or the product you're providing might actually be useful from a brand perspective. So it's a lot of work for your computer, but if you pick a small enough prefix, you'll find it overnight. And what I did at the weekend was I quickly cobbled together a Python script that does both these things. Creates vanity prefixes for private addresses, or rather personal wallet addresses, and one that creates addresses that the first contract, when deployed, starts with a vanity prefix as well. It was kind of a fun exercise, and I'll put a link to the GitHub repository where I've made this publicly available, so that those of you who like coding can go and have a look. It's not that complicated, and for some of you maybe it's a good exercise to get a bit more familiar with how addresses in Ethereum work. Anyway, that's today's video, a bit more technical than usual, but it does have a marketing and branding relevance as well. Hope you found it interesting, and see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.